Good afternoon, everybody. From the wastelands of the internet, I have returned. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have returned. And we have news of the week, somewhat captioned, right, with various different aspects of the news. I almost ended up doing a story from about a year ago, actually, about a woman who did crystal meth and cut her husband's, or paramour's at the very least, maybe it was her boyfriend's head off, decapitated him. But no, we'll just start with the regular news of the day. And good morning, Taryn Marie. Good morning, Nell. How are you doing? Let's get started on the news, shall we? New firm assemblies. Okay. Newly crowned King Charles and Queen Camilla take center stage on balcony between heir to the throne Prince William, the Prince of Wales, and their children as adoring crowds below cheer the slimmed down monarchy. What's slim about it? With all due respect, what's slim about it? All right? We have Charles. We have a whole slew of people, right? Now, let's take a look at this picture real quicker. King Charles, this is, with all due respect, this isn't the best look. But heavy wears the crown, okay? I'll just put it out there. Heavy wears the crown. Now, I wasn't going to do this story until I ran into this. Spooked horses crash into crowd during King's coronation parade. So we have, first of all, gold, really? I mean, this is not pomp and ceremony. This is gaudy. This is the height of gaudiness here, folks. I'm sorry, but this is the height of gaudiness. Good God! And here's all the pictures and the prancing, dancing horses as they guard the king. Meanwhile, this guy here seems to be having an issue. Well, time to wipe out the crowd. Back, you beast! I'm sorry, does that feel like I'm mocking the crowd? Hold your horses! A London police officer was injured Saturday when a black military steed taking part in King Charles's coronation procession veered off the line of march and reared back into the crowd control barrier. The horse, which appeared to have bolted from further back in the line of march, nearly collided with a mounted member of the king's royal household just yards behind the gold state coach carrying Charles and Queen Camilla. Don't you love how they say that? You gotta love this. It's Charles and Queen Camilla. Even though I don't know who wrote this. Mary Kay Lynch, I think you're showing your your biases there, honey. Now, there's one more story that's related to this. And I find myself in a quandary because I absolutely despise them. All right? But this is absolute nonsense. Joe Biden's political statement at coronation condemned as hate America by Andrew Stanton. Now, Andrew, I don't know who you're talking to, but you're not talking to conservatives there. I'm just putting it out there. You're not talking to who you think you are. Conservatives raged on social media over the First Lady Joe Biden's political message at King Charles III's coronation on Saturday. Biden and her granddaughter, Finnegan Biden, Finnegan, huh? Wore coordinated yellow and blue dresses to the coronation ceremony, representing the flag of the Ukraine. The move is viewed as a sign of solidarity with the Eastern European country which for more than a year has been fighting off an invasion from Russia. The Biden administration, like many other world leaders, has supported the Ukraine, supplying the war-torn country with billions of U.S. dollars and weaponry and kickbacks that have come back to him. All right, condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin over the conflict, which they said was unprovoked. Chatter on Twitter ensued about Biden's look at the historic coronation, for the First Lady receiving praise and criticism over the decision, all right, to show support for the Ukraine. Nobody in America really cares. Okay? If you're getting, if this woman is getting freaking harassed, okay, for what an American wears, well, come on! Oh, it's conservatives that are doing it. Bullshit! Hey, Andrew, maybe you need to sit up there and wake up and smell the coffee. Conservatives don't care. We don't care about the coronation. At all. Now I want you to consider something. This is a major event of our greatest ally. And Biden didn't even go. He didn't even send the vice president to go. If you're going to bitch as a conservative at this, okay, the question is, why did you send Jill? Not, oh, she wore blue. And the granddaughter wore yellow. Oh, my God. Biowab's right on the border. There's quite a few provocations in my book. All right. Look, we all know what this is about. The whole thing about the Ukraine is to money launder more stuff to the Biden family. That's what it is. That's really what it is. You want to talk about the Ukraine and the press and all that? Press review. Now, a pro-war Putin correspondent was blown up, by the way, recently. His car got detonated. And he's injured. And I shouldn't laugh about somebody being injured. But, yeah. Press review. Drones downed over Kremlin, and EU sanctions may ban transit of Russian goods. Ban them where? To China? So China becomes a transshipment point for Moscow? Tell me, are you banning the oil that you're getting to Europe? Literally, Heel's up the job to do stuff like that. It is her job. But she's now the AI czar. She's going to be the czar of AI production. I'm not joking. You think I'm joking? The Biden administration issued a thing about saying that Kamala Harris's new czar position is as the czar of AI. Anyway, back to the story. From TASS, Russian news agency. Drones downed over the Kremlin and new UN sanctions loom, and Iran reinforces traditional ties with Syria. These stories topped Thursday's papers across Russia. On May 3rd, Moscow Mayor Sergei, and that's all the further I'm going to try to butcher your name, sir, all right, announced a ban on launching unmanned aerial vehicles within the city limits, with the exception of those used for government purposes, in order to prevent the unauthorized unauthorized use of such UAVs, which could hinder the work of law enforcement agencies. Shortly thereafter, Russian media outlets citing sources reported that St. Petersburg city authorities instituted a similar drone ban, and that fully 40 regions in Russia, including the two largest cities, had taken similar actions to close the skies to drones. This wouldn't have anything to do with the drone attack on Moscow, would it? Just asking on the Kremlin. This wouldn't have anything to do with that, which you blame Kiev for, but the reality is Kiev did not fly drones from the Ukraine over to Russia. Okay? By appearances, the drones are hard to detect. Not if they're flying, not if they're large enough to fly from frickin' Ukraine or not. Nikoly Rushin, an expert in the field of autonomous UAVs, thinks that the drone incident will trigger a tightening of regulations in this industry sector. For instance, closing the sky to civilian drones will prevent those companies without government contracts from operating within the city limits. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. This is just silly. Okay, how's that gonna work? Would that require an Instat or 16 or greater? I don't think the intelligence stat is 16 or greater. Oh my god. I think that what they're looking for is they're hoping that she goes to one of these facilities and gets replaced by the AI. If you really want to know the truth. This is what happens, folks, when they don't provide people with me to sit up there and rein me in. Okay. Here in America, we have our own issues. Okay? And let me see if I can get some audio on this here.
Are battling the fire.
This is an oil refinery.
Monitoring the air quality around the facility. The towering column of thick black
we don't have very many oil
refineries
so large, in the United
it could be
States
detected
anymore.
on weather
and this
radar.
Is where they all were generally located right now are in
oil.
areas like Houston.
Is underway
one of
on
the
what
biggest
caused
areas
this
for
blast.
having oil refineries. So as you can see, we had a major oil refinery. All right, catch fire. Take care of this. Get rid of this thing. All right. The oil refineries are very important. If you want to know why gas is so damn high, it's because of shit like this. Okay? I'm going to be real blunt with you. It's because of shit like this. And before somebody sits up there and tries to say, oh, this is just an accident, this was just something. Bullshit. This is intentional, folks. You're not going to convince me otherwise that this is an intentional attack at the time period when gas prices are at an all-time high to increase it as much as possible. They've shut down as much oil production as they can already. That's exactly what's happening. I guarantee. I'm here to tell you, right? This is not an accident. This has been coming. They have been preventing us. By the way, there's plenty of states. North Dakota is one of them, right? That tried to get it so that they could create an oil refinery, right? To prevent other types of accidents from happening. By the way, and they were refused. The EPA is doing everything it can, all right, to prevent any kind of oil refinery from being built anywhere in the country. And this is why you got to get rid of all of the EPA. You got to go in there and just clean house because they're not interested in environmental protection. They are green eco-nuts, all right, who are Marxists. They are watermelon. Oh, they're green on the outside, but they're dead red in the middle. And they infest us. They infest our government. And it's all over. Oh, look at here. Here's another wonderful one. Berkeley, a professor apologizes for false indigenous identity. Huh, imagine that. An anthropology professor at the University of California, Berkeley, whose identity as a Native American has been questioned for years, apologized this week for falsely identifying as indigenous, saying she is a white person who lived an identity based on family lore. I caused harm, said Hoover. I hurt Native people who have been my friends, colleagues, students, and family, both directly through fractured trust and through activating historical harms. This hurt has also interrupted students' and faculty life and careers. I acknowledge that I could have prevented all this hurt by investigating and confirming my family story sooner. For this, I am deeply sorry. You're a liar. Okay? You're a liar. There is no way you believed you were, quote unquote, Native American. You would have invested, you as one of these hardcore leftists, Miss Hoover, would have investigated your ties so you could prove your bona fides. You knew as very well you had nothing to do with Native Americans. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but you now this is what the problem is how do you believe anything these people have to say? You've held these people up as respected authorities. Is she a respected authority? How do you know all of her work isn't a bunch of pablum? My bubble proves I'm right. How dare you dementia my experiences? Well, with all due respect, maybe she's trans Native American. Maybe she's a trans indigenous individual. Did you see that? Maybe she should have just come out as trans. Hey, Hoover. Hey, Elizabeth Warren. This bud's for you. Just put it out there. Hiawatha. This bud's for you. Just putting it out there, folks. Just putting it out there. If a politician says anything, check for my keys. Do my own research. That's about right. Talking about a politician, or a couple of them. Mayor Adams rips AOC for rush to conclude that Jordan Neely was murdered. Mayor Adams ripped Representative Andrea Ocasio-Cortez for rushing to conclude that Jordan Neely was murdered when he was put in a chokehold by a former Marine, or a Marine. His owner criticized the progressive lawmaker along with the city comptroller Brad Lander, who claimed that people were cheering how the troubled 30-year-old homeless man was choked to death by a vigilante without consequence. I don't think that's very responsible at the time, where we're still investigating the situations, Adams said on CNN Primetime late Wednesday when asked about both the inflammatory tweets. Let's let the DA. Oh, you mean the DA that decided to go after Trump and create felonies out of whole cloth? Let's let the DA continue his investigation with law enforcement officials. To really interfere with that is not the right thing to do. Look, This guy got on the subway, said, I'm taking food. I don't care who you are. I'll kick your ass. I'm going to eat. He threatened to hurt people. I will hurt you if you try to stop me. He was attacking people, and 3 people got up and said, I'm not going to be a victim. And one of them put him in a chokehold. This guy was being looked for a felony assault, a felony assault. He had been released just recently on another felony charge. And when the people said, I'm not going to be a victim, he was just looking for some, he was just a poor man looking for some. Hey, AOC. Hey, Lander, where the frick were you? Where the frick were you? Where the frick were you when this guy needed food? Were you there at the lunch counter to hand him a sandwich? You want everyone else to take care of it, but where the hell were you? Were you there to protect these people? Were you going to stop this stupid lunatic who was out of his mind attacking people on a subway who had been doing it repeatedly? Were you going to do anything, AOC? You didn't do anything. Oh, you're right there to be. Looking for a sandwich. No, he wasn't just looking for a sandwich. He was attacking people left and right. And he had been attacking people left and right. He had been arrested for attacking people left and right. And you bastards let him out. What do you expect people to do? This guy put him in a chokehold to calm him down. The guy died from it. Okay. What else do you expect to happen? How else are you going to restrain him? You have a choice of being a victim or being a hero and stopping this shit. Those are your choices. Those were the choices that you have left, that you, AOC, have left this person with. Because you didn't want him in jail, and you weren't there to hand him a sandwich, and you weren't trying to take care of it. It's always somebody else's responsibility. But when somebody stands up and says, I'm not going to be a victim, excuse after excuse after where were you? Now you can complain that this guy had mental illnesses. We've been complaining about putting people with mental illness back on the streets for a long time. Who did that? It's not really the United States Marine Corps' mission to locate, close with, and serve the enemy sandwiches. To be honest, that's what leftists constantly do. Whenever you put a leftist president in charge, the U.S. military becomes a Meals on Wheels program. Have you ever noticed that? Whenever the United States military falls under a Democrat, we become a Meals on Wheels program. We did it under Clinton. We did it under Obama. We're doing it under Biden. Every single time. And if you think that this stuff's over, if you think that this kind of things are just ending, oh hell no. When did we have this happening in our town, in things? 3 masked teens jump on a school bus to shoot at a 14-year-old boy in the head and beat him after the gun misfires. 3 masked teens jumped on a school bus in Maryland in Prince George's County on Monday afternoon, targeting a 14-year-old boy, the last remaining student on the bus. One of the masked teens pointed a gun at the boy and pulled the trigger 3 times. 3 times the gun didn't fire. Police later found 3 live rounds on the Prince George's County bus. It was an attempted murder, plain and simple. Call it what it is. How about calling these 3 teens thugs, murderous thugs that should be dealt with. They pulled the trigger 3 times, but for some reason, by the grace of God, the gun didn't go off. The bullets flew out of the gun. That's because it was an automatic, and he kept pulling the charging handle, the receiver back to chamber another round. It happened late afternoon on the school bus carrying students home from Prince George's County's alternative middle school in Sutton. Multiple sources confirmed the bus's onboard video system recorded the whole attack, including the point-blank attempt to shoot the middle schooler in the head. When the gun didn't fire after 3 times, the attackers physically beat the 14-year-old boy. When the attackers ran off, the driver moved the bus to a safe area. Really? Let's take away the gun aspect of this. When have you ever heard people rushing a school bus to beat who was on board? This is normal behavior? This is average behavior in America today? This is average behavior? Now, of course, the head of the drivers union wants more security. He said the driver and aide thought they were going to be killed because they could have been. But the driver is responsible for the safety of his passengers. Or her. I don't know who the driver was. But I want to make a comment right here. You have an adult that was afraid of 3 teens that came on board. Instead of sitting up there trying to stand up for the passenger, they're there to protect. They're there to ensure the safety of them. Think about that, folks. And these 3 thugs knew it. But that's okay. That's okay. MC, there was a hero kid in Michigan who stopped the school bus after the driver passed out. Got that story? He was like 12. I do not have that story. And it's good to see that a student did there, but it still comes down to the same thing. How do you continue to protect the students? Who's there to be responsible to protect the students? But like I said, it's okay. Because marijuana is readily available for everybody. Oh, wait a minute here. Mental strain, marijuana, may be behind 30% of the schizophrenia causes in young men, a major NIH-funded study suggests. Oh, what a surprise! Marijuana may be driving a surge in schizophrenia cases among young men, a major government-funded study suggests. Researchers backed by the National Institute on Drug Abuse estimated that 30% of the schizophrenia cases in men aged 21 to 30 are linked to cannabis addiction. I thought this wasn't addictive. Overall, across all age groups, the analysis of 6 million people found that 15% of the diagnoses in men and 4% in women, all right, could be attributed to the drug. So why the lower stat for women? Because they're crazy already. Dr. Nora Volkow, NIDA director and co-author of the study, said the results called for urgent action and demanded people think twice before smoking marijuana. Schizophrenia cases have been rising in recent decades because we've been excusing delusion as being okay. I don't think it's the marijuana, to be honest, folks. I think it's the fact that you're allowing people to delude themselves, and you're pretending their delusions are real. The whole society is parading people and applauding people and freaking, giving rewards to people who are absolutely delusional and self-deluded about who they are. Now, this is some good news, because it's going to sit up there and spread, all right, including to these ESG clowns that come up with these ESG scores. Southern Poverty Law Center's hate list suffers a legal setback. The Southern Poverty Law Center's famous list of hate groups is under fire in a courtroom in Alabama, where a judge has opened the door for the group that opposes illegal immigration to challenge their slapping it with the Scarlet Eight. The Georgia-based Dunstan Inman Society and founder D.A. King said they work against illegal immigration but have no problem with legal immigrants. Indeed, some legal immigrants are on the organization's board, and Mr. King's adopted sister is an immigrant. He said it's defamation for the FPLC to call him an anti-immigrant hate group. He's right. But see, that's what you have to do now, is you have to start going after these lunatics who start calling your company is anti-environmental. Start taking these people to court for slander and libel. Mass prescribing kids with ADHD drugs probably hasn't helped. You're right, Chris. That's very true. All right? It's about time people start holding these assholes, all right, who label these things and then are held up as authority on hate groups. The Southern Poverty Law Center is one of the biggest pushers of hatred in this country. They are one of the biggest pushers of racism in this country and division. They are a hate group in and of themselves, in my opinion, because of what they do. Oh, they may have done good work in the past. That's long past. That's 20 years ago. Just like the ACLU. You can point to the ACLU's heyday in the 70s. Early 80s at the best. Since then, they haven't given a shit about civil liberties. It's all about Marxism over all. So let's go on, shall we? Bob Iger rebuilt Disney. Fighting DeSantis could define his legacy. Stop. Stop. Bob Iger never built. Bob Iger didn't build Disney. Bob Iger never rebuilt Disney. If you want to know who rebuilt Disney, all right, after Walt died, right, and the family was in this nadir, where it was just treading water because it lost its creative emphasis. The person who rebuilt them back into prominence was not Bob Iger. It was Michael Eisner. Now, I don't like Michael Eisner. Don't get me wrong. But I've got to give him credit for rebranding and rebuilding Disney into a powerhouse. Because he did do that. It wasn't Bob Iger. Well, Bob Iger's in a fight with DeSantis, all right, because he flooded their entire organization with a bunch of leftist creeps and communist Marxists, all right? And their goal has been to destroy America's children ever since. Bob Iger twice considered running for president. The longtime Walt Disney Company's chief executive conferred with political strategists, pollsters, and studied up on key issues, reviewed famous speeches, and consulted his family, according to his memoir and news reports. But ultimately, he stepped down as CEO in 2020 to run for president. Okay, that was his goal, and decided against launching a Democrat campaign for the White House. No, because you thought Biden was going to lose, and you were going to try to run in 2024. That's what his goal was. Now, after boomeranging back to Disney, Iger finds himself in a high-profile political battle with a leading Republican. No shit, because he filled Disney with a bunch of Marxist leftists. And the company now is hemorrhaging money, all on decisions he made. Don't forget this, folks. Bob Iger is the one who stood up there and has left Disney in the straits it is right now because he went out of his way to push his Marxist, leftist, hedonistic, perverted agenda on the children. He was setting up his bona fides so he could run for president. And as it all started coming apart, oh, well, we're going to bring Bob Iger back. He'll save the company because we're in a lot of trouble. What's he done? Oh, he's created a fight now with the Screen Guild writers. Right? He's in fight with his Hollywood writers right now. He's threatened all the showrunners, saying they better show up for work or else they're gone. Yeah, he's a boy. He tell you what, he didn't embrace the woke agenda or pedophilia. I don't give Eisner that. Eisner was all about money. Okay, Eisner's first big expansion, all right, was to take Disney in a different way by the creation of Touchstone. Okay, you got to remember something. When Eisner took over, Disney had a goal never to release an R-rated movie. Eisner changed that with Touchstone. It was a common thing that no Disney movie was going to be rated R. They would try to avoid PG. They wanted to be family-friendly content. The problem is people had a shifting idea of what is PG and what is R. I guarantee you there are things that Disney put out back in the 1930s or the 1940s that they would look at now and say, well, yeah, that's definitely PG. But Bob Iger is now sitting up there, has run Disney into the ground, and he has with his decisions. The fact that he's coming back is not saving Disney, and investors are taking note, and Disney stock is diving. It's freaking plummeting. And the reason for it is because they have stopped writing material, all right, to be enjoyable and started writing material to preach Marxist bullshit. That became their priority, indoctrination. It wasn't about writing a good story. And all you have to do is look at who they own. Look at what they did to Star Wars. Look at what they're going to do to what they've been doing to Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is going to be a woke nightmare. That movie is just going to be absolute trash. And it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And everyone complains, oh, it's the special effects that are costing too much. It's this, it's that. No, it's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure these special effects may be too expensive, but that's not the problem. It's not the problem. The problem is the leftist woke agenda. Everyone talks about how good, what is that stupid movie? Touchstone. I learned something. Avatar everyone, when Avatar came out, everyone was like, "Oh God, it was it," right? I thought the movie was stupid. I really did. It was boring. It was unrealistic to me. Okay, it was unrealistic. There's material on the planet that the evil corporations want, and the Space Forces are going to help them get it by going to battle against the populace. But the populace, who they want to kill, they're fighting back, and they're able to fight back successfully. That's because they're not nuking them from space, to be sure. Hey, Sigourney, kind of forgot about that one, didn't you? Why are you going to fight with the aliens? Why are you going to fight with the stupid aliens? Right? It's not like they couldn't have gone in there and taken it anyway. There was nothing stopping them. The idea that somehow there was some, space organization that was going to stop this guy. I thought Avatar, the first Avatar, was stupid. I have no intention to see the second one. I'm not. And generally, I'm a sci-fi person, but see, I like it when sci-fi was intelligible, right? When there's two types of sci-fi that were put out back in the old days, back before it was all ooh, wow, cool special effects. Sci-fi relied upon thought-provoking, all right, or fantasy-provoking, all right, mentality to it. But it was always to give you pause about things. It dealt with subjects that were not black and white, that you could see both sides of issues. One of the best sci-fi movies out there, and I've mentioned it many times, is Silent Running. An absolute masterpiece. Really is a masterpiece. Holds up to today. Because the main character is not perfect. It's not a Mary Sue. Is a flawed human being, a very troubled, flawed human being. You don't get these kind of stories nowadays. You don't get them. You don't get the heroes' stories either, which is another problem. But you get this preachy bullshit nonsense. Speaking of nonsense. Poultry crime wave continues as man busted for chicken battery on his brother. A Louisiana man is behind bars after allegedly clobbering his brother in the head with a frozen bag of chicken in the latest of a series of poultry-related crimes plaguing the nation. I don't think poultry-related crimes are plaguing the nation, but I'll just let it go. According to police, Tommy Bowell, 59, battered his sibling late Tuesday evening inside a mobile home they share in West Monroe. The victim said that when he asked Bowell about two windows busted out of his residence, his brother became angry and began throwing things at him. The victim said that Bowell grabbed a bag of frozen chicken out of the freezer and struck him in the side of the head with the poultry. Oh my goodness. Bow Wow allegedly then continued grabbing frozen foods which he threw at his brother. The victim, who refused medical attention, requested to pursue criminal charges, who was busted on misdemeanor battery count and is locked up in lieu of $500 bond. Bobo's rap sheet includes collars for aggravated assault, domestic abuse, and disturbing the peace, and theft. You can't make up these stories. You can't make up these stories. You really can't. Not without gravity manipulation. I have to look that up. Disc Golf Net, right, prompts emu's escape in Minnesota. Yes, it's an emu. He got loose this morning and Grant deputies located it. All right, just hanging out with the homeowner eating apples. Looks like this guy was super friendly. An emu briefly escaped from a Minnesota property after apparently mistaking a disc golf net for a potential mate. Huh? The bird owner said. The Washington County Sheriff's Office said in a Twitter post that deputies responded to a call about an emu on the loose in Grant and found that the bird hanging out with a homeowner eating apples. Jamie Benner, owner of Ideal Equestrian Center, said the emu, named Erasmo, had been pacing back and forth along the fence separating his enclosure from the backyard of the Cedar Ridge Treatment Center for a few days. Brenner said Aramis, that's what it is. Aramis apparently escaped by jumping the fence into the treatment center's yard. She said that the cause of Aramis's fascination with the treatment center was apparently a disc golf net in the yard. It resembles a female emu if you squint your eyes. A golf net looks like an emu? Really? A golf net looks like an emu. North Carolina man faces down bear to rescue his dog. You're an idiot. Alright, I'm just going to put it right out there. A North Carolina man used his walking stick to protect his dog from a hungry bear that aimed to make it its meal out of a Yorkshire Terrier. John Corber, 67, he's lucky he didn't become a meal, of Beechwood Lakes on the outskirts of Hendersonville in Henderson County, said Chewbacca, a.k.a. also known as Chubby, woke him up for a bathroom break around 4 a.m., about an hour before the Yorkie's usual potty time. Corber harassed Chubby, harnessed Chubby on a retractable leash and took him out into the darkness to do his business. Corber told the Hendersonville Times News that he noticed Chubby, or Chew Toy, to do a startled head turn into the woods, followed by the sound of an incredibly deep-throated roar of sorts. The bear suddenly appeared and lunged for the dog. He said he quickly yanked Chew Toy back toward him and set about warding the bear off with a walking stick. The bear blocked the duo's path back to the door, and Chew Toy found his courage and lunged toward the bear, which responded by reaching out its claws toward the canine. The bear made one more lunge at him, and I let out a deep howl of "No!" and smacked him on the head one more time, and he backed up enough so I went to the door and shut it. Dude. Just put it out there. Don't be bopping the bear on the nose, because it's a bear. Okay? I'm just putting it out there. Don't bop bears on the nose. All right? I just want people to understand this. Bopping a bear on the nose can get you in a lot of trouble. Final story. All right, we got a man here. For the final story, it's a principal. He's at a school, and it's Monday morning. He's unlocking the trash bin so the people can throw out the trash. Principal Yardis, and then out comes Mr. Bear. Now let's take a look at that again. Hi! Oh shit! Now this leads to questions. What was Yogi doing in the trash bin in the first place? Now Yogi was probably looking for food. How did he get in there? And then couldn't get out? Oh my goodness. He couldn't get out. Look at this. And the bear runs off. He's got this thing locked. I don't know why you would try to lock the trash bin. If you're trying to lock the trash bins to prevent the bear from getting in, you obviously failed. Frozen chicken bits. Oh my goodness, folks. Oh, this would scare the hell out of me if a bear came out. I do gotta wonder how the bear got trapped in the thing to begin with. I really do. You do have to wonder about that. Okay, everybody, that's all the stories that I got for the day. Hope that you enjoyed the show. I will try to see what else I can come up with over the next few days for some more news and stories for everyone. Hope that you all had a good time. I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye, everybody.